You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Osmanski, a one-timer deflected side of the goal. Alexandrov scores!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. And this episode number 13 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in Town Square in downtown Springfield and their new location in Amherst. White Lion Brewing is your go-to pre-game spot for all Thunderbirds games. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. I noticed the White Lion Amherst location now has the Thunderbirds' third jersey hung up on the wall, which I thought was great. Even in Amherst, they're getting that kind of love. I don't know about you, Matt. I love that jersey, that third jersey.
It's sharp.
It's awesome.
It's sharp. I mean, it pops everything. And I remember when they released it last year, their social media outlets, explained all of the detail in there. And it's sharp. I love it. It absolutely, like I said, the colors pop, the meaning, it's nice.
Yeah, it's sweet. So big thank you to our friends at White Lion. Only 2 games this week to sort of talk about. Both against Wilkes-Barre, and sort of a roller coaster, a wave of emotions based on the way that game ended in Springfield, and then just what I thought was a gutsy win on Saturday night in Wilkes-Barre.
Mm-hmm.
I think sort of what you're looking for from a team, just generic. When we talk generically overall, you have a night like Friday night to come back Saturday night and really gut it out to get an overtime win. I think was good to see.
Yeah, I mean, we previewed these 2 games, and I really thought these were 2 winnable games. I mean, when you have back-to-back home and homes, and you both games go into overtime, they're 2 evenly matched teams, and they are. I believe Ryan Smith even alluded to this in Friday night's broadcast. I think this is now, 8 and 9 times that these 2 teams have gone into overtime over the last 2 years or 3 years. I forget exactly what he said, but a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of overtime games. And anytime if I just told you, hey, we got 3 points this weekend, I'll take it. 2 games over the weekend, you get 3 points. I'm okay with that. There's a little bit of a bitter, sour taste the way Friday night ended. But just as Friday night ended, Saturday night is the complete opposite. And, I will get into it, but I just think the Saturday night game highlights their resilience, their grit, their toughness. Mentally, they're in the game. You're right. Like, they're not checking out. They all want to be there. And I think it was a good team win Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm very much well-needed win. I mean, if they lost that game in overtime, that would have been bad. So
yeah, that would have been a real kick in the pants. And when we look at the standings, I don't think it's too early now. We're practically a quarter of the way into the season. Springfield sits in 4th. Providence is in 3rd, but they have one more point than Springfield, but they've also played one more game. Mm-hmm. They started off the season in pretty tough shape and have really played well the last couple of weekends. So, Hershey's in 1st and 18-4. I mean, boy, did our buddy Patrick Williams call that one.
Yeah.
They're 18-4. Hartford's 14-4-2. Providence 11-8-1. Springfield 11-8-2. 11-8-1-2 is Providence. I forget about the shootout loss point there, and then Wilkes-Barre right behind it at 10-8-3. So we talk about teams that are evenly matched. I got that same vibe from Wilkes-Barre. It's just like these 2 teams seemed right on par with each other. But the Thunderbirds are, they're right there at 24 points, Providence has 25, Wilkes-Barre has 23, Lehigh Valley has 22. And, and Charlotte, who I have higher expectations for, and they've only played 19 games, they have 20. So, the middle, the 3 to 7 is anybody's game at this point in the season. And that's, that's interesting to kind of look at and know that you have so many division games on the way. Things could get really interesting here over the next couple months.
You're absolutely right, Stephen. I think the important thing is to and I'm sort of preemptively saying this for myself too, to stay even keel. This is a talented team, and when you have so many in division games coming up and the teams are so well balanced, equally matched, the way I look at it is, here we are in fourth place and we haven't really gotten on a major 2-week heater, right? They had a nice 3-game or 4-game winning streak. They had like one really solid weekend. I thought they played really well last weekend. So hey, I think last year they got 8 wins in a row, tying or setting a franchise record, I believe. I don't think that's necessary, but if you can go on a nice, 8 wins out of 10 games kind of stretch, there you go. And especially if all those games are coming against your divisional opponents, I don't think this team will ever be out of it, is my long-winded way of saying that. I think it's a long season, regardless of the ups and downs. I think this team will be there in the end. And if they're finishing strong, look at Hartford last year. They were in the basement of the division all season long until maybe the last month and a half of the season. They go on a heater, and they've carried that momentum into this year. So it won't be how this team starts. It'll be how this team finishes, and they have the talent to do it, and they'll have the divisional games to be there in the end.
Yeah. And by the way, I hate math. I'm terrible at it. But one of the things that I like to look at when it comes to the standing is the goals for versus the goals against. And I mean, Hershey and Hartford are ridiculous. Hershey's 74 goals for, 49 goals against. That's just a ridiculous number. Yeah. Providence is 1 game ahead of you, 68 goals for, 65 against. So they're +3, right? Wilkes-Barre, who's right behind you, goals for, 59, goals against 64. So they're actually -5. Springfield, 65 goals for, 58 goals against. So they're actually +7. So, to be where they are and to be +7 in the goals for, goals against means a couple things. Number one, you're not getting blown out. Yeah. And again, you talk about +7. They won 7-0 against Utica, so maybe that's where the +7 comes from. But it means to me that they're in every game, and the 8 losses could very easily be 5. I mean, 11 wins could easily be 9. So they are in every game, and I think that as a fan, especially at this point in the season with the roster turnover that they've had, I think that is an okay spot to be in. Like, I don't think that this is anything to be concerned about. Again, Hershey's won 9 in a row. Hartford's won 6 in a row. Providence has won 5 in a row. So, what you're talking about, going on a nice little heater here, I think that's something that we haven't seen from Springfield. And thankfully, either way, they haven't lost 6 in a row. They haven't won 6 in a row. Yeah. So to hopefully get that going, and maybe it's tough only having 1 game next week, but maybe, I know there's a lot of hockey to be played here in December, and maybe towards Christmas, if they can get themselves on a nice little run, we can see what the standings look like at that point. But for right now, I think they're in a pretty decent spot in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we'll say this now, and a lot can change January, February, but again, just on the talent that this roster has and the goaltending that they have, I don't think you're not going to circle the Springfield Thunderbirds and say, yeah, this will be a good playoff matchup. They have leadership, they have young talent, they have the goaltending, they've had great defense, and that's the makeup of a strong team come playoff time. So I think if they put themselves in a good spot for the playoffs, I believe the top 6 teams in the Atlantic Division we'll make it. And again, here we are, early December. A lot can happen.
Definitely.
From now until then, a lot can happen. But I'm pleased. I'm happy where they are.
Before we get into the statistical aspect of the weekend games, I don't know about you, but I was a little surprised we didn't see Sam Bitten at all. I thought he had sort of earned his place in the lineup, and the guys that were coming in and the guys that were going out of the lineup between the two games, I was just shocked he didn't get in either of them. I don't know how you felt about that.
I like his physical presence. Saturday, they brought Hunter Skinner back into the lineup for Joey Duzak. Hunter Skinner is another physical defender. He got into a little bit of scrap on Saturday. But again, I think Sam is a little bit more of that electric type player. The second game of a home and home, I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not throw him in there? And even seeing how Saturday's game played out, that would have been nice to see him mix it up a little bit. Saturday, that was surprising.
Well, even Friday, I felt like there wasn't.
Yeah.
I felt like they could have used a 5-hour energy, and Sam Bitten is that 5-hour energy. And Hunter Skinner, and this is a guy that I really like and I want to see more of, and I want him to succeed because he has that physical element to his game. He had at least 2 or 3 penalties on Saturday.
Yeah.
So can you be physical without the penalties? And the big hit that he laid on Saturday, I didn't think really was a penalty. Now, I didn't get a good look at it to see if there was contact to the head. I mean, if he got him right in the noggin, then obviously that's a penalty. It didn't look like interference to me. It would look like a really nice check unless there's physical contact, but I haven't heard of a suspension. So if he had hit him in the head, that would have been suspendable, but I haven't seen anything come up for that. So
I think this is one of those back in my day calls, I rewinded it. They showed a replay of it on AHL TV. I rewound it myself, watching it on demand. And it was close. I mean, I don't think it was a direct blow to the head. It's just one of those calls in hockey in 2023 that's going to get a call. And, it was interesting, former teammates on the Wolfpack, Skinner and the other guy from the Penguins.
Yeah,
the name is escaping me. But,
me too.
they're former Penguins. And you even looked at teammates with the Wolfpack. And, even after the fight, they kind of looked at each other and just kind of gave themselves a nod like, it's hockey. But
yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at their roster. I still can't remember the guy's name. But I mean, they Wilkes-Barre has Austin Rushoff, another 6'8" winger. And I thought that he was out there pushing people around, and it would have been nice to have somebody that can push him around. Now, I say that about Hunter Skinner, how he gets penalties. I don't know if Sam Bitten gets penalties, and I don't know that because I've only seen him play one game. So it's like, I'd love to see a 2 to 3 game stretch to see, does he have any offensive touch, which he might. Is he undisciplined? Is he disciplined? I don't know any of these things. And I think that unknown is what frustrates a lot of Thunderbirds fans, is like, let's see what we get out of this player. Like Drew Callen, I know what I'm getting out of Drew Callen.
Yep, fair.
For good or bad, I know what I'm getting because he's in the lineup all the time, and I don't know. I'd like to see Sam Bitten in the lineup, I guess is what I'm saying.
I would too. Because he's exciting. He brings a little bit more, and I would love to. I have full confidence in the coaching staff. I don't believe that they're like, oh yeah, if this guy played, we'd win every game. Like, no. They're doing it for a reason. I would love to know what that reason is. What are they looking for? What is he needing to improve on? Is it in just talking with him and watching him play the Bitsy's Army game? It doesn't seem like it's attitude at all. He's got a good head on his shoulders. So I don't know what he needs to do more to get in the lineup. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I was just going to say, going back to what the the Skinner hit, and I just want to let people know the plan is that next week we're actually going to have an AHL official on as a guest, a name that you folks will know if you like to yell and scream at the refs. But like, one of the things I'd like to ask him is that they keep every year they add more rules. Like they've never taken rules away, right, from a ref's perspective. So every year it's like you have to adjust to this new rule, and now you're calling things this way that you didn't call them before, and now this is reviewable. And now, like, at what point as a ref is it something happen on the ice and you're like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do now? Like, what's the rule this year? Like, it's got to be so difficult to, like, again, memorize that every year where they give us a rule book and it starts off this thick, and then by 2 years after that it's like the size of the Iliad and the Odyssey. It's like for like no good reason. So like I am curious to get that perspective from a referee, and when you look at hits like that or plays that are just borderline, and it's like, okay, well, what are you supposed to do now as an official? Even in Friday night's game there was a questionable shot on Subban, and I think they just blew the play dead to review it. It was very odd. It wasn't like, let's wait till the next stoppage of play. It wasn't like one team called a timeout or there was a offsides or anything like that. At least, I'm busy down there. Maybe I missed something, but it seemed like they just kind of stopped play to review it.
I think, that's the one that kind of like traveled across the crossbar and hit all three posts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. I think what they did was they kind of let the play in the Penguins' offensive zone kind of finish out. And then once Springfield had possession and was heading through the neutral zone, not on a break or anything like that, they kind of blew it dead there. But yeah, that was interesting. And that was the right call to make. But yeah, I'm excited for our interview with the AHL referee because I have a few things I'd like to ask.
Well, I don't know if Casey knows what he's getting himself into. He's really excited to come on, but I don't know if he knows what he's getting himself into. But even in Boston, like I believe this has happened from my time there. They have an off ice guy that looks for these kind of things, and if there's a questionable goal, did it cross or not? But it's obvious on replay. They'll just fire off the horn and stop play. And they'll say, the horn goes, go back, hop on the headset. The guy upstairs says that was a goal at 8:53 of the period. And that's it. And then they count the goal and they start over again. And maybe just in general, it'd be good in, well, quite frankly, every league. If you watch the officiating in the NFL, my goodness, maybe it's good to have an eye in the sky, somebody up in a press box that's watching the same TVs that we're all watching, to say that wasn't pass interference, that was a goal, that wasn't a trip. There was a play, I don't know if you saw it in the Detroit Red Wings game. One player he had the puck and he grabbed the other guy's stick and whacked himself in the face, and they reviewed it. It was like, that's not a high sticking because you did it to yourself. But like, those are the kind of plays that should be there should be another eye up in the sky to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that was the Red Wings and Rangers game, I believe.
Yeah,
I was watching that. Yeah, I'll say this, and half joking, if they were to do something like that, Stephen, I'm not opposed to that. They couldn't be using the AHL TV feed because they'd have to improve that somehow. And maybe that will actually improve as the consumer of AHL TV, our viewing experience as well. So if that would be the case, I'd be totally for that. Better reviews and better quality.
And I will say we have, I'm down where I am. We have the iPad, the review iPad. And it's fun whenever stuff like that happens. It's on like a 10-second delay. So whenever questionable things happen, I'm like this, well, what's the iPad say? I can't wait for it to catch up. But they do have they have cameras right over the goals that are direct overhead shots of the goal. And AHL TV doesn't have access to that, but the officials do. Yeah. And, that's not going to help guys high sticking themselves in the face. But when it comes to the, when the refs were looking at that goal on Subban, or the questionable one, that's what they were looking at, were those overhead cameras.
Yep.
And even the production guys in my headset were like, yeah, we don't have access to those. We can't even show the replay on the Jumbotron from that angle. So, there are ways to do it if they wanted to do it that way, but
It's not that simple. And again, maybe that's a part of why they don't have the guy up in the sky, because they don't have the technology, they don't have the cameras. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know, but that was a wild little tangent. But we'll talk plenty of officiating in the next episode, because my buddy Casey Terreri is going to join us. Super nice guy, and I'm sure you Thunderbirds fans are going to have some questions. And by the way, Twitter at SRG Podcast, Facebook. You want to comment on our YouTube videos if you can't find us anywhere else. If you have questions for Casey Terreri, AHL official, we're happy to include them into the conversation. But again, I told him we're not just going to rag on him and say, "Ref, you suck." Like, we're not going to do that for 20 minutes. But it'll be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I've talked to these guys in the moment, but I never talked to them off.
Yeah.
Off the ice. So that'll be cool. So I guess we might as well, Matt, head into the game, and you want to do a quick little recap of the game on Friday for those who missed it, and the disappointment that ensued.
The disappointment, Friday night, it's a 2-3 loss in overtime. This one, okay, they're good, right? Power play goal. Suzuki gets on the score sheet. Power play goal, Nathan Walker, goal and an assist. Pekka, McEachran, Coughlin, all with helpers as well. Thought Subban played pretty good. His, normal good positioning, rebounds. This one stung. This was probably their best first period and a half, as far as just dominating. Just dominating. Out shooting the Penguins 18-6 in the first period. I looked back quickly through other box scores and could not find dominating play. But nothing to show for it. Hellberg was lights out. And I don't know. I feel like we've been saying that a lot as far as these opposing goalies. 18 shots is 18 shots, but are they high quality shots? I can't go back and rewatch every shot and critique it like that. But, that one, I'm watching the game on demand Saturday morning, and I'm just like, oh, how did it's not 1-0 after that first period, but they continue it and continue the dominance up 2-0, and then that Kessel penalty, and that seemed to just sort of be the switch. And I think you and I we're going back and forth in our text thread, and it was almost like they really were so dominant the first 2 periods, 2 1/4 periods, whatever it was. And then when the air got let out, it just got let out, and they couldn't seem to find their legs after that Kessel penalty. 2 goals for the Penguins, and then that overtime, and we talked about overtime. It's worked in our favor before, but Friday night, it's the Penguins in and out of the zone. They got fresh legs on. I think it was Pekka, Coughlin, and Gaudette are stuck on the ice, and there's a goal. A very frustrating way to get 1 point. Very frustrating. Again, if it was just your typical, back and forth game, shots are on par, both teams, 26 shots apiece, and you lose in overtime. It is what it is. But this was just such a good, they played so well.
Yeah.
To come away with 1 point, it was like kissing your cousin,
Well, and by the way, Hellberg, another tall guy, 6'5",
Yep.
And he's 32, and he's been around. He's played some NHL games. He's played some AHL games. And it almost felt like, to me, at ice level, like they poured so much effort into the first period and a half of that game. The first 2 periods, really, they were just all over Wilkes-Barre. And to really, they got 2 goals, but for the most part, especially that first period, they were on them, and they were on them, and they were on them, and they didn't get anything out of it. It could have been 3-0, 4-0 coming out of that period, and they didn't get anything out of it. And then, you fast forward to the third period where all of a sudden the momentum swings and they just looked gassed. They looked frustrated and gassed and tired. And yeah, once once Pitlick got that power play goal, I mean, it was like you said, like a switch flipped. Like, I don't know if the Thunderbirds, I gotta be honest, I don't even know if we can track these things. I don't know if Springfield got a shot on goal in the last, call it 10 minutes of that period. Because Wilkes-Barre and all the gas that got sucked out of Springfield went right into Wilkes-Barre. And by the way, they got to change the name. I'm so tired of saying Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Pick a city. Would you please pick one? Wilkes-Barre or Scranton. I'm tired of saying the whole thing as an announcer. But anyway, I don't even know if they had a shot on goal. And you said they outshot them 18-6 in the first period. They were outshot 10-8 in the third. So, the whole momentum really shifted. In overtime, it was, I don't know, I just got this feeling being down at ice level. Like, I'm like, well, this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
It was like this, you had that feeling and to have that 2-goal lead going into the third and then to lose it, and they got some guys. I mean, Will Butcher is an NHL defenseman. These were the first two AHL games he's ever played. Ty Smith is an absolute monster prospect, and they got guys on that roster that are not messing around. Libor Hayek, we've seen for years in Hartford. Xavier Ouellet's been there for a long time. Sam Hood, John Gruden, Philippe has been with Providence forever. These guys, they got guys that can play, and like I said, that switch flipped, and it was bad news bears for the Thunderbirds there. So, I think momentum. I think that game more than any that I've seen this season, momentum just being totally flipped.
Yep.
That was the best. That was the biggest vibe that I got from that game. So, and I get so emotional when they win. I come home and I'm like, yeah, like woo. Yeah. And then when they lose and I get home, I just like sit in my chair. I'm like, well, that stunk. Like
it was a tough one. That was a tough one. I mean, I wasn't able to watch it Friday night. Like I said, we watched it on demand Saturday morning. But Friday night, I'm getting the notifications, and that one stung. You get 2-0. I'm going about my Friday night in a good mood, and then my kids, they didn't want to know. It's because we were out doing something, and they didn't want to know what the score was. We wanted to watch it fresh Saturday morning, and usually I would mute the notifications, but I was excited for this weekend, so I kept them on, and it was just like, oh damn, yeah. it was, but I think, now moving forward to Saturday night, now, like in my head, I'm like, all right, let's see what this team is made of.
Yeah.
You had your chance at home and you blew it. And now what? What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I do want to get into that game, but I also just want to mention and get it, make sure we get our money right here, because the SRG podcast is proudly sponsored by White Lion Brewing in their new location in Amherst on North Pleasant Street. Of course, they're right in downtown Springfield at Tower Square, 1500 Main Street, the place to go prior to Springfield Thunderbirds games. Fantastic food, great environment, an awesome place to go prior to the game. Don't forget, because parking is absolutely brutal in downtown Springfield. So park in that Tower Square garage, go down to White Lion, they validate your parking. You can get some of those massive chicken tenders. Those things are huge.
Yeah.
They got Boomer Nachos, Seuss Mac and Cheese. It feels local. It feels like Springfield in that place. And Ray Barry's got a fantastic crew of people working there as well. And not only do they have tons of beer on tap, but also you can check them out in your local liquor store cooler. White Lion Brewing, now in Amherst in downtown Springfield, a proud local sponsor of the SRG podcast. And make sure that you tell them that the boys at SRG sent you. I not only was the coming back from Friday night's game big on Saturday, but even in the game, it was, you get up 2-1 in the third period. You finally break that tie. Drew Callen scores with 4:31 left, and then right after that, Valtteri Puustinen scores like a little more than a minute later to tie it up again. You're like, okay, well now it's 2-2. And then later on in the period, it's Pekka scores to make it 3-2, and then 2 minutes later, Abba scores. So now it's 3-3 again. So you're like, all right, like, you get a lead, you lose it. You get a lead, you lose it. And then to still be able to have the gumption to hang on and battle in that overtime, which, by the way, was a long overtime. I think in the first game, the overtime goals came in the first, minute and a half. Kessel scored that goal with 20 seconds left. So, I mean, they had to battle that whole 4.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there were 24 seconds left to be exact. So, yeah, that whole overtime period. This, I think, right, this weekend shows a little bit of the good, the bad, a little bit of everything in between. 2 more power play goals, which, again, is a good thing. There were a lot of penalties this weekend. So to see, getting 3 power play goals this weekend, I think is a good thing. I think Bolduc had a nice weekend. Goaltending is strong. 3 really is this team's magic number this year, I've noticed. Again, I'm not a big math guy either, but I think when they score 3 goals or more, they're like 9-1 or something, or maybe now 10-1. And scoring less than 3 puts them in a bit of a hole. I don't know what it is. If it's focus, I don't know what it is, but being up 2-0 in the third, having 2 leads in the third on Saturday disappear, the way the momentum was taken from the Thunderbirds on Friday night, I would like to see this team capitalize on that momentum shift. I to this team's credit, this roster's credit, they don't. It's weird, right? I don't feel like they haven't had a game yet where they've completely just lost it and fell apart. But I mean, they're able to get the win on Saturday, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too tough on them, a little too critical, but I don't know. 2 goals in the third period, 2 leads in the third period Saturday, a 2-goal lead on Friday. I don't know. I want to see those games finished. And now I think now is the time to really work on that. Now is the time to really get those things ironed out.
Yeah. And it's funny, the penalty minutes, you mentioned the penalties, the number is kind of staggering because Hunter Skinner, and according to the box score, he got the match penalty for check to the head. Then he got another 5 for fighting. Rushoff got the 5 for fighting, 2 for instigating, and then a 10-minute misconduct. And then after the Pekka power play goal, Fadoon for Wilkes-Barre got a 10-minute misconduct for abuse of the officials. So the penalty minutes were 43-28, which is a high number, but not necessarily a reflection on the game itself. I mean, Wilkes-Barre couldn't stay out of the box that game, but to me, and I'm glad this player is finally starting to come around. Zach Dean at the end of the first period taking a high sticking penalty with like 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
And then, it takes some, I'm just trying to check the box score, but it wasn't long until that power play goal came in the third period. So it's like, that's one thing that you gotta, especially the last minute, the last couple minutes, the last 2-3 minutes of a period, man, you can't give up goals. You can't take penalties. That's when you got to be more disciplined than ever, and that was certainly something that was noticeable. So actually, the goal was scored a minute 14 into the second period after that penalty. So it's like, that was a power play goal by Huda. So it's, you gotta be extra careful. And that's when you're the most tired too, right? So that's when you really need to step up to that next level internal focus, I guess.
Yeah. But again, I mean, all that being said, you come away of the weekend 3 points, sitting in 4th place in the division. So I think this team is where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised with them sitting in 4th. I'm not surprised sort of the way the standings are. I guess maybe a little surprised. I think you are too, with Hartford being where they are. But, as far as from a Springfield Thunderbirds perspective, I think they're in good shape heading into December. And now let's see if they can go on a nice little 6-game winning streak, a strong 10-game stretch. Now doesn't have to go undefeated in 10 wins, but a strong 10-game stretch. This team can gather some points quick.
You know what, too? It's interesting. I'm looking at it, all those penalty minutes to Hunter Skinner. Hershey, 202 penalty minutes, which is a nice number. Hartford, 294. Providence, 283. Wilkes-Barre, 286. Lehigh Valley's over 400 penalty minutes. Springfield has 272. So that's less than Hartford, less than Providence, less than Wilkes-Barre. So, that if that trend continues and the power play starts working and the penalty kill, keeps what I think they're pretty good on the PK. And we talked a little bit about it last
I think
week.
they're very good on the PK. Yeah.
I mean, I think as long as they keep that consistent, and somebody's going to figure out you keep getting 400 penalty minutes or almost 300 in Hartford. Eventually somebody's going to start scoring power play goals on you. So, you're 1 point out of 3rd place, but you're 2 points out of 6th. So it's like, I think we talked this division, man. This division is brutal, and it is what it is. But it's an interesting spot, and it's an interesting time. I mean, December's here, and to be sort of where they are is I don't think unexpected, like you said. This division's just insanely ridiculous, and I think if you look at other divisions, I don't think any of them are really as tight. I mean, they'd be in 2nd place if they were in the Central.
Yeah. I do that often, and you look at the North, and you've got the Laval Rocket. They're having a tough year.
Boy, are they ever? Yikes!
Yeah, you've got the Wolves, and we've sort of talked about their situation a little bit with Carolina, but no surprise to see them 5 wins. You've got the Griffins in the Central also with 7 wins. The Pacific, you've got the Gulls with 4 wins, the Barracuda with 5 wins, and so I don't know anything about those teams. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. It is what it is. So clearly there's just sort of these other divisions seem to be top heavy.
Yeah.
Where when you look at the Atlantic, you've got the Islanders, they've got 6 wins, and then you've got the Checkers with 10. They're not top heavy. Granted, you've got the Bears and the Wolfpack, who are kind of at the moment right now have a comfortable lead, but you said at the top, from 3 to 7, all these teams are strong rosters, good players, well coached, and
Charlotte's in 7th place and they're over 500.
Yeah,
I mean they're 10-9. That's impressive. I mean, like I said, they play the least amount of games in the division, but they're in 2nd to last place and they're above 500. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
So, but they're gonna have a tough stretch. That's part of the problem with playing in Charlotte is that you end up playing a lot of 3-3s. I'm sure they haven't played as many as Springfield has now. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but when you are the destination of the division, teams are going to go down there and play 3 games, or you're going to come up and you're going to have to do the Mass Pike Gauntlet, the I-91 Gauntlet. Like you're going to have to do it, So we'll see what. I'm actually curious, and I'll look it up after the show what their stretch looks like through December and into January, because I'll bet at some point they're going to have to catch up in terms of games played with the rest of the division. So,
yeah. And I mean, we haven't here in Springfield, haven't seen the Checkers yet. So that's always a tough, it's going to be a good game. They play Springfield pretty tough.
Yeah. So one more thing about these games, and I feel like we always end up waiting to the end to talk about them, but I never want to forget them. Another very strong weekend of goaltending. And
Yeah.
Subban was great. Zarenko was great. They continue to do this thing where they're alternating games. And I just think it's such a recipe for success at this level and with both of these guys. And I think that I don't see any issues. I think they're both very cool with being a dead even split. And, they each kind of have their warts for sure. But I think that they're both playing absolutely as good as you could possibly ask for two guys and in goal in their spot. I think they've been excellent.
I agree. I think probably we don't give them enough credit that they deserve. If you think about it, how hard it must be. I mean, because it is working, playing every other game. Let's say you're playing that game Friday, you're off Saturday, you're ready Sunday. Other than those two little yips Zarenko's had this year, they've been great. And so you can tell they're comfortable with it. I'm sure the communication from the coaching staff, this has been the plan all year long. I don't know if it'll change, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if one was playing that much better than the other, I'd say, yeah, maybe, but no, they're playing great. They are playing great. I think as a goaltending unit, it's probably been the most consistent, most solid all year long from any part of this roster.
Yeah, agreed.
For sure.
And I think that Matt Kessel has had, I think he's playing his best hockey the last 4 or 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of fans that criticize him. I think that he's been very, very good the last couple games. I think the D has been very solid. When you look at those shot totals over the weekend, it wasn't astronomical. It wasn't those early season second period where you're giving up 15, 16 shots in the period. It's not happening anymore. And I think that that's because the D is doing their job.
Yeah, D's been great. It's been solid. Leo Loof, another solid weekend.
I love
as
Leo.
Always. He just
I love this player.
He's everywhere he needs to be, and his timing, his physicality is, again, he doesn't overdo it. He does what he needs to do. He's a fantastic player to watch.
I think they call that Visa. It's everywhere you want to be.
Yeah, there you go.
Remember those Visa commercials?
Yes,
anyway. Yeah. So I obviously, looking back at those games, we do have a game that we have coming up next weekend, and it is only one game, but at least it's a home game. Very important one that I actually get super excited for every year. I'll be making my trip to the dollar store to stock up. I usually buy like 10 or 11 of them, and then I just, while I'm supposed to be doing something else, I'm just behind the glass, chucking them over the glass as fast as I can. The teddy bear toss night games, and for the first time, specialty jerseys, which I know we looked at them today when they were released it's Monday. So the day they came out, those things are sharp, man. Those things look sweet.
I like it. Yeah. So Saturday the 9th is the one game this week. Bridgeport comes to the Thunderdome, and it's their teddy bear toss game, sporting new specialty jerseys. These games won't be auctioned off. I did see this, not post game, but they will do an online auction for these specialty jerseys. But they are I don't know, would you call it the Santa Boomer?
Santa Boomer.
The Santa Boomer.
If you've seen their logo on social media, the Thunderbirds updated their logo. It's that. It's the Boomer logo with the Santa hat on. But they're like this great combination of red and blue. And I love the patch on the shoulder. It because it's sponsored by Teddy Bear Pools and Spas. Obviously, who else would do it? And it kind of has that Teddy Bear Pools and Spas logo, but it's made to look like, I don't know. It's made to look like a teddy bear. I'll pop an image up, for our YouTube viewers. But they're just slick. They're sharp. The design team is great. I think that was Luke Armstrong again. That kid is just so talented when it comes to design and graphics, but just sweet. They're sweet as hell.
Yeah. So, and if you are able to go to that game, bring a teddy bear. Like Steve said, he'll have a few.
Bring 10.
And after the first Thunderbird goal, you get to throw them on the ice. So what's better than that? And then they'll get donated. And children in need this holiday season will get a nice, call it a Springfield Thunderbird teddy bear. And that, what more can you ask for?
And there's so many places in Springfield. I know Shriners Hospitals for Children is one that always gets a bunch of those, and it's for the kids, man. It's just how it is being parents. Everything is for the kids, and to just be able to support something like that is just so important. And I know the teddy bear toss, everybody does it, and it's a cute, kitschy thing to do, but the end result is children smiling. And let's be honest, there's nothing other than a puppy. There's nothing else better than a little kid smiling. So
well, speaking of puppies, speaking of puppies, December 23rd. Is the Thunderbirds. You like that? I
do like that. I do like that a lot.
December 23rd. December 23rd is the Thunderbirds Pucks and Paws night, where you can bring your dog. It is a dog-friendly game. I'll be honest, I have never attended a Paws and Pucks game before. I don't know if you need to get a ticket for your dog, but you can bring your dog, and your dog can enjoy the game right there with you. So that is December 23rd. Steve, I'm just going to rattle off the rest of these upcoming events.
Yeah, of course. No, I want to get them out there.
I know at the beginning of the season, we rattled off up until December. So here are some of the December and January promotional games. December 30th, another Saturday game, is the Boomer Nutcracker Ornament, where the first 3,000 fans in attendance will receive a Boomer Nutcracker Ornament. You'll be able to hang that on your tree next year, or do something like what I do and keep it on my desk all year long. Because who else wants to look at a Boomer Nutcracker?
I'll tell you what, for the price I paid for my Christmas tree this year, I'm keeping that thing up till March, so I get my money's worth. I told her, I'm like, sweetie, we're keeping the tree up till Easter for the price I paid. So I'm going to put it right on the tree and leave it up there till the flowers are blooming. Because holy smokes, the price.
Yeah, where do you go local to get your tree? Or
I go to a place in Feeding Hills, the Gun-Geary Farm.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys because they make it a lot of fun. You get to ride the tractor and everything else.
Yeah,
but,
we look for the experience. Hot chocolate, hay rides, and things like that. But we got a tree in East Long Meadow this year. It was the most expensive tree we've ever gotten.
For real.
I'll say that.
And I don't mean to pick on the Glen-Geary people, because everyone that I talk to, they're like, that's all you paid? And I'm like, Dad, what do you mean that's all? That's way too much for a freaking plant. Yeah. It's a plant, but yeah, it's ridiculous. So I'll definitely be hanging that thing up on my tree.
So there you go. You get your Boomer Nutcracker Ornament December 30th. On Saturday, January 6th, is their throwback night. They'll be sporting their Springfield Falcons jerseys. Love that. There it is. Yep. Love that game. The game my kids look forward to more than any game during the regular season is the Kids Takeover Day, and that is January 15th. I'll take a second here to plug the Kids Club. They do a wonderful job, the front office staff, Keith Allen. They do a fantastic job with this day. Kids who are in the Kids Club, they get to sign up for a different job. I know, Steve, you take a kid in your booth with you. Last year, my kids were on the Fanboni. They wanted to do the clean the ice crew, but they're not good, strong enough skaters for that, and they understand that. But kids have all different jobs. They follow social media around. They hang out with Steve. They work the concourse. Like I said, my kids did the Fanboni last year. I think they'll be looking to do something a little different this year. And then after that game on the 15th, that's a Monday, it is the team's post-game autograph session. And so I think after the game there, you head down. I don't know exactly how they're going to work it this year, but I know last year we just kind of headed downstairs in the Mass Mutual Center and got to meet all the players and have those posters signed. So that's a wonderful fan event. And then the final
real quick, does T want to announce with me? Tell your son to sign up for the announcement. I'd love to have him down there.
He might want to. Want to.
He was great on the mic at White Lion.
He's been practicing. I'm not kidding. Like when they go downstairs to play their mini hockey, my favorite part, Jill and I will just sit in the kitchen and we'll just listen, and they take turns being goalie. But regardless of what position Tyler's playing, he's announcing the game. Ryan Smith, look out, maybe 10, 15 years.
But it is
But
funny. I've had two kids at my school, and I teach at a high school. They've come up to me and they've said, one of them's my student. You know, I was one of the kids that was in your booth for the kids club game. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it was 5 years ago or whatever, which is so cool to me. You know, I
Yeah.
don't remember them when they're 8, but I know them when they're 14. You know what I mean? So, I do. I love that game too. I love having a kid in there and get to see the action, and
it's great. It's wonderful. And again, I'll take another minute to plug this. Like,
absolutely.
what they do pre-game is they take all the kids into the restaurant there up on the concourse, and they all get assigned their jobs, and they get a contract.
No way.
And I'm not even kidding
That's
you.
awesome.
And Nate Costa comes into the restaurant. He gives all the kids a speech. He reads the contract out loud. He signs every single contract, and then the kids sign it. And then they do a photo op with him in front of the Thunderbirds backdrop. And it, again, I have no other organization to compare it to, but what a stand-up job they do with this. And you know, it makes the kids feel important. It makes the kids, it reaffirms to the kids that they are part of this community, and the Thunderbirds are what they are because of the community, and they just do a wonderful job with that. So that's January 15th. Any listeners out there, if you have young kids under the age of 12, I don't think it's too late to call and see if you can get them signed up for the kids club. They've already had one kids club game, but I'm sure, you know, they'll be able to work something out there. But just a wonderful program they do there. Keith Allen and the other front office staff. The last promotional game we have in January is Saturday, the 27th, which is the Hometown Heroes Night, honoring police, firefighters, and other first responders in the Springfield area. They also have their the second annual stair climb event pregame, where they climb all the stairs in the Mass Mutual Center with the local hometown heroes. So another great event, honoring the community and honoring those who keep us safe, so we can afford to enjoy this hockey. So a good lineup of events here in December and January.
Another night that I love.
Yeah.
You know, it's just gives you the feels, gives you the goosebumps.
Yeah,
All the stuff that we do in game is fantastic. And again, it's easy to slap your name on something like Hometown Heroes Night. Whee! But then when you actually see what is planned during the game for these kind of things is spectacular.
What do? They do the parade, the car lights and sirens parade on ice, and honoring all the men and women who are heroes.
Right.
You know,
for real.
So all good stuff for the Thunderbirds. Also, let me take this moment to highlight the Thunderbirds holiday pack, their sort of ticket promotional thing, what they're looking to do. I believe you can purchase this through the month of December or up to probably Christmas. There's for $100 in their holiday pack, you get 2 tickets to the throwback night, which is January 6th. For any game vouchers, you get 1 T-Bird winter hat and a $5 Dunkin' Donuts card. For $100, I don't think you can beat that. 6 game tickets for $100 and a T-Birds hat. So I know I'll be purchasing mine when I get my paycheck on Thursday, and then.
By the way, the hats are nice too. They're none of these cheap hats. They're legit. So
yeah.
And yeah, one last thing we wanted to throw out for our friends at White Lion Brewing. The kids cookie decorating is happening this Saturday, December 10th from 11 to 1. Now, one of the things, so maybe this wasn't necessarily clear. It was clear to my wife, but not clear to me, but I'm also a dummy and she's super smart. The $25 tickets are for the kids. So yes. $25 is for the kid, and they get your child, and they get to decorate the cookie, and they get to hit the lunch buffet and all that stuff. So if you're like, well, I want to bring me and my spouse and my 2 kids, that's $100. It's not. You only pay for the kids. The grown-ups, we just get to like hang out and like sit at the bar and drink beer and eat food and do whatever we want to do. So we don't have to pay the $25. Now you probably end up spending $25 in food and drink, but you don't have to actually pay the $25 for a ticket necessarily. So
no, that's just for the kids, for
right.
the cookie, the Grinch, and the buffet. So if you're spending $12 on a lunch plate for them anyway, $13 for the cookie, the Grinch, and the experience. That's hard to beat. All good times.
The nice thing is
White Lion.
the buffet is not, sirloins and shrimp scampi. It's like kid stuff, mac and cheese, chicken tenders. It's like the only food that our kids ever eat.
The only thing my kids eat anyway.
It's perfect. So I'm really looking forward to it. Matt and I you're going, right?
That's our plan. That's our
Okay,
plan.
I'm definitely going with the kids. So come say hi to us. We'll definitely be there hanging out with our families, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that'll be a good time. So, all right.
Any last thoughts, Steve? We talked about the game Saturday, Teddy Bear toss against Bridgeport from a hockey standpoint. Anything you're looking to see?
Well, it's just when we play Bridgeport, you gotta put your foot on their throat and you gotta end it early. I think that Bridgeport's the team now where until they prove me otherwise, you have to dominate.
I'm with you.
Wilkes-Barre is, I would say, an equal team. If not, you're a little bit better than them, but they are your equals.
Mm-hmm.
They've played teams that are lesser than them and run into hot goaltending, and there's nothing really about the Islanders' goaltending that scares me. Jakub Skarek isn't exactly, Patrick Waugh. So you should really be able to handle this team, again, especially knowing that it's the only game. You're not, you got nothing else going on. So there's no excuse to go out there and drop 5-6 goals on this team and get the hell out of there. So,
yeah, I'm with you. I want to see, we got the monkey off our back, so to speak, beating Bridgeport last 2 weeks ago now. And now let's look to continue that dominance. I don't want to be a broken record, but let's get Sam Bitten in the lineup and now not only assert that dominance on a scoreboard, but physically, now if you can keep Skinner in the lineup too, physical presence on D, put Sam Bitten in there, we'll see.
Yeah,
but
I don't want to get into it too much. We're sort of wrapping up here, but the problem is taking out Duzak. They have too many guys. Duzak's a really nice player, and I he was great to talk to, obviously, but they have 7 guys that could all be in a lineup night in and night out, and I like to see Skinner in the lineup. I don't like to see Duzak out of the lineup, but I don't know who else you take out.
Yeah,
which is a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, and I think for those guys, again, we're just at the end of the show here, but there's been a nice rotation. Again, goalies, every other, we kind of know what to expect. Let's see if we can maybe work in a little bit more of a predictable. Maybe that wouldn't be effective for our opponent's sake, but some sort of more forward lineup rotation with that fourth line. But again, it's who you taking out,
right?
So
right. So, and again, stay tuned for next episode as well. Circle this, and if you want to reach out to us with questions, please do. We are planning as of now, and he's super excited for it, having Casey Terreri, an AHL official, on the show. So we're gonna have a ref on the show, which is gonna be fantastic. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah.
So if you have questions for the ref, and I don't want your questions to be like, yeah, how come you called that tripping call on Matt Kessel in the game and not no, we don't want that. But their thought process, they're in, what do they feel like when the crowd starts chanting "Ref, you suck"? You know what I mean? Does that change the outcome? I'm really looking forward to that. So keep your eye out for that next week. But and of course, thank you to our friends at White Lion Brewing for sponsoring us. That's it for me.
Let's go, T-Birds.